Jesse Armstrong has one of those faces that seem a wee bit anxious even if he's just sitting quietly, eating breakfast. It's been a complicated year for the creator, executive producer, and head writer of Succession. Against sibling in the aftermath of the patriarch's death and leaving. He was finally unleashed to discuss the misadventures of America's favorite dysfunctional billionaire family. Sarah was unbelievably brilliant in it because everything Shiv says that is self-serving is also actually true. It can have terrible personal consequences.
There are 3 ways to kick people who are using your Wi-Fi without your permission. If you want to investigate further, the last section of the article for some easy-to-implement best practices to make this situation easier to deal with in the future should the need arise. If you don't know the administrator password for your router, you may need to reset it to the factory defaults. Before you do that though, check out our guide to accessing your router's web interface, model number to find the manufacturer manual and official instructions.
There are scores of other technologies in development that promise to be game changers for the climate, if they survive. They include everything from lab-grown meat, to advanced batteries, to insects as a food source. Technologies like green hydrogen and reducing food waste have relatively high emissions reduction potential. Among them, lab-grown meat has made some advancements this year. In June, U.S. regulators cleared the first sales of chicken grown from cells in a vat. The meat was served in small portions at high-end restaurants.
The industry says that if it manages to overcome high costs, challenges to scaling up production, and the ick factor, it could revolutionize agriculture and eliminate the considerable emissions related to raising livestock. David Shatsky, a managing director at Deloitte, said investments in biofuels development has risen in Asia, while electric bike and motorcycle companies are doing well in Africa. For daily comprehensive coverage on COP28 in your inbox, sign up for the Reuters Sustainable Switch newsletter here. They have won Reuters Best Journalism of the Year awards.
Finance Minister Christian Lindner proposed in an interview on Saturday cutting social spending, international climate financing, development cooperation, and some subsidies to fill the gap. When mountain goats clamber up the slopes. He gesticulated dramatically as he told me about past disasters. Eventually, we arrived at a flat lookout. Cut into the mountainside, off to our right, was a base installation for water tanks, trucks, forklifts, and other heavy machinery. I could appreciate the vibrant beauty of this precious stone, which has defined this part of Italy.
Microsoft actually has a long history in silicon development, explains Ronnie Borkar, head of Azure Hardware Systems and Infrastructure at Microsoft, in an interview with The Verge. Microsoft collaborated on silicon and has even co-engineered chips for its Surface devices. These efforts are built on that experience. We began architecting the cloud hardware stack, and we began on that journey, putting us on track to build our new custom chips. We are rethinking the cloud infrastructure for the era of AI, and literally optimizing every layer of that infrastructure.
On a tour of the area, I passed through a warehouse and traditional workshop with shelves stuffed with marble funerary sculptures and crucifixes. An algorithm does what a caliper used to do. I have the time to contemplate a beautiful sunset. The finishing touches on several skeletons commissioned by a well-known British artist who wished to remain anonymous. Around town he's known as a master who can carve the most elaborate details into stone. But machines won't change the sensitivity of the work. You will always need the sculptor for that.
Michelangelo cultivated relationships with excavators, cutters, and carvers so that they would favor him with their best blocks, and he offered precise instructions about the shape and size of the marble he desired. Then, satisfied, he would hammer and chisel until the figure revealed itself. His ghost still hovers above the quarries here. You can hear the famous words attributed to the Italian master: "Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it." Caleb Stein has long been fascinated with history.
Governments and investors are pouring billions of dollars into emerging technologies to combat global warming in long-shot bets that entrepreneurship can help lead the way to a climate-friendly world. As officials from nearly 200 countries seek to forge agreements at the UN COP28 Climate Summit in Dubai this month, they will also be considering deployment of the nascent technologies. The oil and gas industry is relying excessively on carbon capture. Tons of carbon emissions per year from the sky using a carbon removal technique called direct air capture.
Further, privacy features like the iPhone's private Wi-Fi randomize the MAC address transmitted to Wi-Fi access points to decrease device tracking. But, if you just want to kick a device off temporarily, perhaps your kid's device like a Fire tablet. Assuming you have access to the person's device and they haven't remembered or written down your Wi-Fi password, this will solve your problem. These software tools are basically executing a Wi-Fi deauthorization attack to boot a device from your Wi-Fi network. That's why some tools can continuously send packets.